Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome to round 18 of our F125 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Singapore Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Baku did what it does best. It was quite an unpredictable race, but before we head into this weekend, we have got some talks with Gabriel Bortoleto. Of course, we've already signed Isaac Hadjar for the team, ready for next season, so we need to go in and understand kind of what Gabri is going to be expecting from the team as well. It seems like his expectations are quite high at the moment, and as you can see, yeah, a 5th place vehicle performance ranking is optimistic, to say the least. So he wants a team performance clause that states if we don't finish 5th in the constructors standings, then the team must pay a penalty of $2 million. Now, I'm hoping that we're going to still be able to finish 5th next season, obviously if the car is there. So I think we're happy to confirm that one. Just at the moment, we'll wait and see. Maybe talks will descend with him soon.
Now, there's still a long way to go, and obviously before we sign anything, we need to iron out the details. We still haven't begun formal contract talks. Still just preliminary discussion. I don't want to jinx it, so I'll let you know what happens.
But there we go then, we have got to be careful. Of course, Helga and Voisin both potentially on the chopping block right now. But yeah, if we take a look then at the current performance and obviously everything going on with the team, it is still Charles Leclerc leading the World Championship after that great victory in Baku. 4 points, the gap between him and Lando Norris, with Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton trying to hang on in the title fight as well. We are down to 6th in the Constructors, just 3 points back from Aston Martin after Fernando Alonso scored some decent points as well last weekend there. But hoping we can maintain some momentum as we head into the final few races of the campaign. Taking a look at the current progress history on the upgrades, you can comfortably see we are now, you know, definitely better than Sauber and still closing in on a lot of the other teams. Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, there is nothing between them. But with 7 races to go, 3 sprints, things are going to get thick and fast towards the end of the campaign. Get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 150,000 subs here on the channel as well. And let's do this thing.
As night falls in Singapore, the track starts to warm up, and it'll be red hot by the time we find out who's on pole for tomorrow's race. Time to set the grid then. Welcome along to qualifying here in Singapore.
Well, after the changes they made to the Singapore circuit, this place has really become one of my favourites on the entire Formula 1 calendar. I love coming back here every year, and, you know, especially now, F125, finally. It's only taken them a couple of years, but they fixed the DRS zone down at the final sector as well. So we've finally got DRS in all of the right places around this circuit, and hopefully that'll allow us some more overtaking opportunities around here as well. But when we get into qualifying though, obviously we're continuing to roll more upgrades into the car. I feel like we're making good development, and hopefully, you know, we're going to be fighting consistently in the midfield, ready for next season. I've been reading your comments. I will be adding more sponsor decals to the car at the end of the year. I'm going to fix up the livery and do everything else. I've just been very, very busy, obviously trying to get everything all sorted before my inevitable house move, so haven't really had a chance to dive in and do it all correctly just yet. But yeah, I do apologise. But yeah, this circuit though is often one where I've been able to outdrive the car quite a lot. Hasn't been the AI's best in previous games, but with every circuit inside F125, it could be very, very different this year. Tyre management, I think, is going to be the big one around this circuit. It's already over 1 lap. Struggling to get the car exactly where I want it, but there's the new DRS zone finally implemented for F125. So we can get well up at 8th gear there, 200 miles an hour by the time we get down in towards the final few corners. It's been a bit of a sloppy first lap. As you can see there, Gasly goes to the top of the board. We are going to be a little while away though, 2 seconds slower, but still quicker than Helga. But there we go. Pierre Gasly fastest then in Q1, a 10th up on Max Verstappen there, but those two miles ahead of everybody else. And Dennis Helga, Kimi Antonelli, Sainz, Piastri and Behrman didn't set a lap time. I've got no idea how that works, but maybe Singapore is a little bit glitched inside F125. We've made it through though, so I guess I can't complain. But we're going to need a 1 minute 30.3 or better here if we want to see Q3. Lance Stroll currently the man on the cusp. We know the lap time is actually coming together quite nicely until those final couple of corners there. Plenty of curve through turn 1 and turn 2. Nice and tidy as we try and roll on the throttle. It is a circuit now about looking after the tyres, because even over one shot, they will overheat. By the time we get to the end of the lap, they're nudging the wall as we make our way out onto the Raffles Boulevard. It looks like improvements are coming in. Stroll has been relegated down to P12. Nice and tidy up at the end of the straight there, and that will just give you a couple of extra tenths. It gives you confidence in the car that you're not overworking the front tyres. This corner as well now can be really, really understeery, and I don't feel like I've nailed it all session long in towards what used to be the Singapore Sling. Obviously a one fast flick through the first part, and then one much slower flick through the second and third over the Anderson Bridge. Try and get the car straightened out as you slow yourself down, ready for the hairpin there. Again, nice and easy on the throttle as you try and pick up the speed down in towards the final sector of the lap. Brake at the 100-meter board. Avoid the curbing on the inside there. Allow the car just to run a little bit wide before you activate the DRS on the exit. We lost a bit of time through there, but hopefully the lap is still going to be good enough. Brake at the 100. Ready for this final chicane of the lap. Don't get too early on the throttle on the exit. And now will be the moment of truth time here. Will this be enough to see us into Q3? I don't think it will. Only P12. Well, there we go. Verstappen that time around comfortably faster than anybody else, so it doesn't look like Pierre Gasly is going to be much of a threat by the end of the session. But by just 1/10 of a second, we will not squeeze by and into Q3 there. The car definitely was capable of it, but we have got a lot of work to do as we head into the race.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. And here's our track, 4.94 kilometers long, and overtaking chances into the first corner, into turn 14 at the end of the Esplanade, and now into turn 16 in the newly reprofiled sector that we first ran on in 2023. Still though, it's punishing and tough on the brakes, and the heat and humidity will take an effect on our drivers. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Norris, Fernando Alonso, George Russell and Gasly, Doohan, Albon, Tsunoda and Callum Voisin, Stroll, Hamilton, Isaac Hadjar and Lawson, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Carlos Sainz and Oscar Piastri, Bortoleto, Antonelli, Behrman and Dennis Hauger rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, and well, grid penalties galore this weekend. Hamilton and Ocon are starting behind us now, so we are up to 10th place, ready for the start of this one. But yeah, all those cars that didn't qualify have also taken some penalties, so rather peculiar what has been going on. But it looks like we've got yet another race where rain could be rolling in towards the end of the afternoon. I've got no idea how well we're going to be able to look after the tyres either today, so I'm just going to start on the hards, take them as far as we can, and see how we get on. Singapore is the most marathon-esque race you get in Formula 1. This place really does feel like an endurance. So let's see what we can do though. The 5 red lights are on, and it's going to be lights out, and away we go then. Not a long hold at all, but we'll actually get pretty good traction as Russell looks to struggle off the start. We'll try and get to the inside line. Down in turn 1 there as Albon and Tsunoda there, I think, had a bit of contact between them. Yeah, you can see Yuki has picked up front wing damage at the start, so important that we get past him before we get down in towards turn 4 as Doohan and George Russell there having a bit of a squabble. Can we get a run on Alex Albon down the Raffles Boulevard? Doohan's trying to do the same to George in front there. Albon almost wants to make it 3 wide at the end of the short shoot there, but looks like it will be Russell losing yet another spot as Tsunoda, despite his front wing damage, they're still trying to line up moves nice and early on. Russell and Albon still side by side. The former F2 rivals there. And look at that, Russell has been capitalised from the Thai driver there, and we will get down the inside as well. And up then into P8, so a pretty successful start to this Grand Prix. Doesn't look like Tsunoda's front wing damage is slowing him down too much either early on. But as we just try and get out onto the back straight. A bit like Monte Carlo, this place, it is all about settling down, getting into a rhythm nice and early, otherwise you will get punished. I really do think Pierre Gasly now and Jack Doohan starting to slow everybody else up a little bit too much here, so we are going to start trying to make moves down the inside of Alex Albon. And there we go, up into P7 then of this race. I think, yeah, that top four are gone. Don't think we're going to see them again, except for maybe the pit stop cycle in this GP.
Okay, the car behind is dropping back. We're seeing a gap starting to form.
Yeah, I wonder now if Doohan is going to be on the radio telling that Alpine team he is quicker than Pierre in front of him, and he needs to try and make moves happen as well. Otherwise, they're both going to be vulnerable against ourselves early on. Haven't had the pace all weekend, but things are really starting to slot in together. And for whatever reason, the sick traction zone seems to be better than the Raffles Boulevard for us to try and get a run on the AI at the moment. Let's see, we're a little bit far back from Jack Doohan, but we are going to send it into the apex, get the car slowed down, and we've gained another one then in this Grand Prix. So up into 6th place then here. So I mean, we are hanging on to those rear tyres for dear life at the moment. It's actually the front right now that is getting the most worn of any. Yeah, you just see they're sliding the car through all the corners. So it looks like they finally got Oscar's car out of the way. Gasly, though, should be a little bit easier. And I'm hoping then that if we're in some clear air, we can manage the tyres. Come on then, Pierre Gasly. Surely this time round we've got to try and get a run on him. I do not want to be sat behind the Alpine all day long. Oh, Gasly, wise to the move, but not wise enough there down the inside. We were fully committed. Oh, careful on the rear end on the way out there as Alonso already into the pit lane. So that's quite an early stop then in this GP. I think, though, the 2-stop might be the way we have to go.
0.0 seconds.
I want to take these hards to the end of 13 and then do 9 laps on each set of mediums. It just, the grip is nowhere to be found at the moment.
So we're expecting rain in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh, there we go. That's the call we were expecting to hear at some point this afternoon. Rain then is on the radar and is rolling in towards the circuit. 10 to 15 minutes from now would be about lap 20 to 22, 23. So, yeah, I certainly don't see us taking the hards that far. So I think we'll be, you know, quite okay boxing for the mediums at the end of next lap and then trying to take them to the wet period. We haven't really pulled away from Gasly, but the car certainly feels a little bit better not stuck in the dirty air, as I reckon Singapore might be worse for trains on this game than Monaco. That's quite impressive, but we'll box pit confirm now with the team.
Confirmed, we'll receive you at the end of this lap.
We've got yellows out. Oh, someone's gone for a spin. That might be a red flag. Someone's gone for a spin there down at turn 1. I believe that was the Williams of Alex Albon then, who's held up George Russell. And it looks like everybody's kept going. Okay then. Well, obviously, if we'd had a red flag, the rain would have rolled in a whole lot sooner. But I'm not going to complain. Well, I don't think I've seen anybody win 3 races in a row so far inside F1 25. But Charles Leclerc, he might be on course to do that today. The Ferrari man really does seem to have come alive later on this season, as into the pit lane will go. A slightly early pit stop in this race, and I'm just worried that we might come out in some traffic as well. But the hard tyres, they felt alright. I could have taken them a bit further if I needed to, but I'm just going to try and roll the dice a little bit on the strategy today to give us a bit more breathing room. So looks like Albon, yeah, did get a 10-second penalty for his troubles. We are going to come out a little way behind the Haas car of Esteban Ocon. I think they're going to be racing Behrman on pit exit.
One stop left.
So this pit lane exit is always horrible inside the F1 game. Back out onto the road we go, just behind Ollie Behrman. And Ollie Behrman then, I don't know if he's already pitted this Grand Prix or is just having a quiet night drive. Of course, we would try and look to the skies to see if the rain is rolling in, but it's a bit difficult to tell in darkness. So we can only learn so much. around this venue. But as we make our way then over the Anderson
Battery charge
Bridge.
is high. Let's use that overtake button a bit.
Oh, Ollie, no, he turned in on me. Ollie Behrman there, I think, was not expecting the dive bomb. Luckily, we'll get away with just a tiny bit of side pod damage there. But a little bit frustrating. We were comfortably down the inside. We did get it slowed down. But the AI just have a tendency to panic and kind of decide to take you with them. Oh, what on earth is going on here? Antonelli trying to have a look past Nico Hulkenberg. And Esteban Ocon, he's got the popcorn out and is just watching this battle unfold.
Tyre condition still looking good.
Down the inside of Esteban Ocon we will go, and we need to try and get around these guys nice and quickly. Antonelli, no power on the exit of the corner. So can we get around Hulkenberg as well? Not quite there. I'll have to try and do another move over the Anderson Bridge. If we can get the car close enough to Nico to the inside, we'll go. Oh, and again, just banging wheels there ever so slightly with another car, but...
Nice work, mate. That brings you up a place.
If Max Verstappen did that, that would be on a highlight reel for months on the F1 YouTube channel, but making it through a little bit of wheel banging there with Nico, but 3 places gained in half a lap. And by the end of that lap, we have got more cars peeling into the pit lane then, so we haven't done a bad job on that first set of tyres there. Sainz actually was still on mediums and have been able to keep them going. But yeah, I certainly don't think we've lost out. I don't think we're at risk of getting undercut, or overcut, sorry, I should say, in this Grand Prix. The only real concern is if the rain doesn't arrive,
Okay,
then we might be in trouble.
Damage. You might start to notice it soon.
Hey? What's happened? Everybody's still running. I've got no idea why we got a safety car, but that has really screwed us over.
Slow your pace immediately.
Someone's dropped out of this race, but I couldn't even see who it was. And that is going to really throw a spanner in the works.
This lap.
Well, Charles Leclerc then getting ready to lead the field once again here in Marina Bay, but that rain is imminent, and we know that how early you need to box for the intermediate tyre. Pretty much as soon as you start seeing the rain, that is going to be the time to make the call. But 5 cars from 5 different teams making up your top 5 at the moment. I want to try and get a run past Pierre Gasly as soon as we can.
The track's getting wetter. Recommend you
Is
stay
it?
out for now, though. We'll be much slower if we move on to inters this early.
Well, clearly then the team warning us
Okay,
that
so
we
we're
are going to
leading
see
our
the
teammate
wets
by
in action very soon, or at least the
12.0
intermediates. But Charles Leclerc then leading the way. The circuit feels absolutely fine at the moment, Mark, so not too sure what he's going on about. It'll be Verstappen that is going to struggle here. That was more about me not getting temperature into the tyres rather than a lack of residual grip. Oh, Gasly! Whoa! Pierre Gasly, what's he doing? Oh, that was a bit of a jump scare late on in the day, but Pierre Gasly then, that's one way to overtake him, is making his engine go pop.
No need to worry about...
Whoa, easy does it, easy does it. Yeah, that grip is falling. It's so weird still, the fact you can't see anything with it dropping inside this game, but that's just kind of what you got to deal with. At least it's the same for everybody at the moment, but I reckon, yeah, we're only a lap or 2 away from a switch to inters, but our top 3 are just bolting. Oh, here comes Yuki. Nothing I can do. Nothing we've got at the moment.
But I think the right call is to stick with what we've got for now.
That is normally a sign that it is basically time to switch to intermediates. I mean, look at that, just no grip. As we try and get the power down, everybody is going seconds a lap faster than us. It looks like Hamilton has dived into the pit lane, so it'll be interesting to see what his pace is like, but we might have to make the call very soon. Just worried that we're going to be more and more of a sitting duck, and I'd rather be ever so slightly too early than too late, just because there is next to no room for error around here. Almost hitting the wall twice over the Anderson Bridge. Yeah, we are getting there. There you go. Rain now starting to fall. Mark confirming that we need to dive in.
This lap then. Come into the pits at the end of this lap.
Whoa, you just feel there that immediately how loose the car is when you try and open the DRS. But are we going to see any of our front runners in? Yes, everybody's in. Everybody into the pit lane then at the end of that lap.
We think it's time to box now.
Looks like Fernando Alonso trying to brave the storm then for now at least, but I can't see that benefiting him too much. Let's just make sure we get the car slowed down there. Leclerc, he's been held up behind Norris and Verstappen as well. Yuki Tsunoda might have a slow pit stop, so hopefully we're going to get the jump on him. But as more and more cars then, I mean so many of us into the pit lane, we might see a few cars get slowed down because of this.
Okay, let's go now. Come on. Perfect.
Oh.
Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
I thought I got the jump
That
on
was our
Yuki,
last
but it didn't
stop.
quite
No
happen.
more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
So I think, yeah, Tsunoda's picked up front wing damage, so not quite sure how he's managed that. But less than 10 laps remaining then at this Grand Prix. We are back out in a net P5. But, yeah, Fernando Alonso leading. How many times did we see that on F1 24? Yeah, I don't believe he ever won this race. Well, we are losing about 2 seconds a lap to those cars in front, but honestly, that's pretty similar to the dry pace we saw early on in the afternoon, so I think we just do not have a car that can compete around this venue at the moment. But, you know, it's so difficult to overtake here at the best of times. In changeable conditions, unless I make an error, Hamilton seems firmly stuck behind.
0 seconds.
I mean, if we can hang on for a P5 finish, I would be very happy. It's so weird, though, of course, here in Singapore. When you go under, like, the motorway bridge there, or down here, the car temporarily finds grip and then loses it again. Of course, where you go through the dry patches. It's really realistic, but very awkward and difficult. Well, with how easy it is to make mistakes inside F1 25, this has got to be the toughest race I've done so far inside this year's title. Whoa, nick the wall there. Wasn't expecting that one. Just almost threw the steering wheel out of my hand. But one more lap to go then. Here from Marina Bay, you can see we are holding up such a large train towards the end of the afternoon. I've got no idea why we've had no pace on these tyres. We're not overheating them or anything like that.
The final lap of the race. Final lap.
So Hamilton again trying to have a look to the outside of us, back in towards turn 1, but we've been able to hold the car where we need it throughout the entirety of this stint. We've only got one more lap here of Marina Bay to try and continue hanging on at this place on F1 25. It definitely, I think if you've got an upgraded car, you're still going to do pretty well here. But I think, yeah, with all of kind of the difficulties we've had with this machine so far this year as well, Hamilton actually gives me a push down the end of the back straight. That's just how unhappy he is to still be stuck behind us towards the end of the afternoon there. But Lando Norris, he got a little bit lucky with the timing of that safety car. And then, of course, the switch over to the intermediates as well really did peg Charles Leclerc back. But in towards the final few corners, the McLaren man, I don't think we've seen him win since Miami, way earlier on in the season. But through the final corner, he is going to win the Singapore Grand Prix. Leclerc and Verstappen will follow him home in P2 and P3. And I think those are your three that are going to be fighting for the World Championship by the end of the year. Yuki Tsunoda is going to come through for a very, very lonely P4 finish when all is said and done. But from 12th in qualifying, I knew the pace was good, but not fantastic here. We got a little bit lucky with the timing of the safety car, but we have kept out of trouble right the way throughout the Grand Prix today. In towards the final few corners is the fireworks. You can hear them over in the distance. We are going to walk home with 10 points here in Singapore. Honestly, for me, that feels like a race victory today.
And here he comes. It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
Incredible victory today, and this really keeps their hopes in the driver's title away, and you can just see how much of a celebration is going on down there. It proves what it means to them.
It's time to bring out the bubbly and spray it around. It's our podium celebrations. He holds the trophy aloft, and why shouldn't he? A richly deserved win today for Lando Norris.
Well, there we are then. Lando Norris will claim victory here in Singapore. 5 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc by the time they got to the checkered flag. Verstappen, I'm sure he'll be disappointed in P3 ahead of Tsunoda, and then 25 seconds behind Yuki. We will come through for P5 there. Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Alonso, Antonelli and George Russell will round out your top 10. So it was really, just trying to hang on to the bitter end there. Sainz and Antonelli from the back of the field. A very, very good job to recover for a decent points finish. Pierre Gasly, Oscar Piastri and Jack Doohan all failing to see the checkered flag this weekend. So disappointing for those guys. If we take a look at our World Championship though, the gap again flips in Lando Norris's favour by just 3 points ahead of Leclerc. With that result though, we jump past Alonso, Ocon and Andrea Kimi Antonelli. So we are suddenly up into 8th place then, and best of the rest once more this season. Constructors wise, Ferrari 85 clear of McLaren. McLaren now just 15 ahead of Red Bull, and we are back ahead of Aston Martin by just 3 points as well. That battle is definitely going to rage on to the end of the year. Thank you all so much for watching though. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon ready for the US Grand Prix. The sprint races are back. It is going to be chaos to the end of the year.